Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 140 of Crunch Time with the N326 duo. I'm your host today, Sam Godsey, and with me today, as always, is Tanner Disley. Tanner, how are you feeling tonight?
It's a real mixed bag, Sam. It is a real mixed bag. This weekend was a tale of 2 days for me, and I bet for you as well. Saturday was not so fun. Sunday, very fun. We will certainly get into all of that. But, Sam, I'm real excited. We got a full slate of football to talk about this week, and I could not be – well, I guess I could be more excited, but I'm still pretty excited to talk about it.
Yeah, dude, great weekend of football kicked off awesome Thursday night game. Not so great Friday. Got into kind of the thick of college football. It's kind of the first real weekend of college football, and then obviously week one of NFL on Sunday, and a decent game on Monday night. So we're going to talk about that and so much more on episode 140 of Crunch Time. But Tanner, let's kick it off as we always do. Who is your winner of the episode?
Sam, I got a little bit of an obscure one here. Before we get into all the football talk, let's go back on the diamond real quick, because my winner is going to be Eddy Alvarez.
Who?
Exactly. Here's you and everyone else out there. So Eddy Alvarez, he is currently on the New York Mets. And yesterday, well, I guess at this point, we're recording on Tuesday, so on Monday night.
Yeah.
And Monday night, he was part of the September call-ups for the New York Mets. Now, the Mets are in a pretty intense wild card race with the Braves. And on Monday night, they were tied. And Eddy Alvarez was a pinch runner who was put in the game for his speed, and he scored the winning run on a pass ball in the Mets game. And, well, that was a pretty big win because the Braves ended up losing that night, and Eddy Alvarez was the reason why the Mets currently hold the last wild card spot. Now you're wondering why is that important? Because he just scored a run. Eddy Alvarez has 2 Olympic medals.
Oh,
and he is one. I'm trying to find the stat here. He is one. Where is it? Darn, I was looking for he's one of a handful of people who has medaled in the summer and the winter Olympics. So he medaled in 2 different sports. What on earth could that be, you ask? I want you to take a guess at what the 2 sports. I'll give you a hint. One of them is what you expect.
Track and field.
Okay, so you got track and field.
Speed skating.
So you got one of 2. The one I thought you had no chance of getting, speed skating. The one I thought you'd get, baseball.
Oh.
That's tough. So I swear to God, he is a 2-time Olympic medalist. He won silver with the U.S. in baseball and then won silver with the U.S. in speed skating.
Hell yeah. That rocks.
So this guy has 2 Olympic gold medals, one of the only few to do so in both the summer and the winter, and scored the game-winning run for the New York Mets last night in a crucial wild card race. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sick. Cool. For me, I got 2 actually. I was pretty set on one, and then another performance happened. The one I was auto lock. The GOAT of women's soccer officially hung it up. Alex Morgan. Her stats are
she was pretty good at the sport.
She was obviously amazing. Kind of put U.S. women's soccer, kind of took it to that whole nother level. Probably the most impressive stat I saw was the U.S. women's national team is 76-10-0 when she has scored a goal, meaning they never lost when Alex Morgan scored. Isn't that insane? But I mean, no U.S. women's national player has been involved in more goals than Alex Morgan. 123 goals, 52 assists since she made her debut in March of 2010. And 88 goal contributions in the National Women's Soccer League. 60 goals, 28 assists, ranks third all time in that league. She's obviously an Olympic gold medalist, bronze medalist, as well as a 2-time World Cup winner. So have to shout out the GOAT, Alex Morgan. But I also got to shout out this dude, Auburn running back commit Alvin Henderson. Taryn, did you see this man's stat line?
I did not.
So he is down in Alabama. He plays for Elba High School.
Oh, all right. No, well.
Shout out. 40 carries, 435 yards, 10 tuds.
10 tuds.
10 tuds.
So he scored a touchdown on a quarter of his carries. 430 divided by 40 is over 10 yards a carry for 40 carries. Holy crap.
Now, his team might be the biggest loser of them all because they actually end up losing game 80-78 in the L. Can you imagine?
That's brutal.
That's awful. Can you imagine?
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
So yeah, got shout out him though.
That's brutal.
He put on a performance, but hit the rest of his team
35
big L.
yards for an L.
Yeah, that's
good
tough.
God.
But Tanner, this high school was definitely a big loser. But who is your loser of the episode?
Yeah, so my loser of the episode is going to be injury reports, Sam. Injury reports. I'm not going to make this guy a loser because he had the game of his life on Monday night. Jets versus 49ers. Big time anticipated game. Obviously, we know what happened to the Jets last year on Monday night. The Niners going back to the Super Bowl and losing again. Where, it was just a big time game. And of course, about an hour before kickoff, it is announced that the 49ers will be without Christian McCaffrey, the number one pick in fantasy, best running back in the league, yada, yada, yada. You all know of Christian McCaffrey. Well, so then that means they had to start some guy named Jordan Mason in the backfield. Exactly. And he was undrafted out of Georgia Tech. So an undrafted rookie running back. We're all like, who the heck is this guy? Well, all he did was go out and carry the ball 28 times for 147 yards and a touchdown. So I'm going to say that again. 28 carries, $147, and a touchdown without Christian McCaffrey. I mean, what an all-time game from him. It was awesome to see. However, after the game in the interview, obviously he was pretty excited about his game. They asked him, hey, when did you know you would be starting, considering it was announced an hour ago? And he said, I knew Friday I was going to be starting. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
The 49ers may be in trouble with the league, with the amount of fantasy and betting and all that stuff. They have some pretty strict rules about injury reports. And it looks like the 49ers may have violated them. And hopefully nothing happens. There's no repercussions on Jordan Mason from the team. Obviously, the guy just had to
surely not, right?
Bench him or anything. I don't know but that's tough for the 49ers. When you get a big win, your undrafted rookie looks great, and he accidentally slips that you may have cheated.
Yeah,
you may have not cheated, but you may have fudged the injury report.
Yeah, just a little bit. Big loser on that end. For my loser, there were two individuals that popped into my mind, Tanner. Both on the gridiron. One which we will discuss later, but this guy, dude. He's not known for being a loser on the field, but good Lord in the booth.
Uh-oh.
Good Lord Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Did you by chance listen to the Cowboys?
I did.
It was bad.
I did.
It was really bad. Justice for
Yeah, this was a losing. I'm trying
It
my
was
best
bad.
to be fair to Tom Brady because this was a losing battle. No
Oh,
matter
yeah.
what he did, people would be like, Greg Olson was better because Greg Olson's very good at it.
Yeah.
It's not just that he was okay. He was very
Yeah.
good as a color commentator. Tom Brady was bad. It was bad. It's just something about his voice. He doesn't have a commentator's
No.
voice. He, you know, he was a little awkward in his transitions and fumbling with the word. I think he got a little bit better as the game went
Oh,
on,
yeah.
kind of, found his way in the role.
Mhm.
But yeah, Greg
And-
Olson was much better.
Yeah. And
That dude is very, very
just like him always being like, now here's what I do, always relating it back to himself. It was annoying as hell. But hey, we have him for what, 10
10
years,
million more years.
325 million.
Now,
For
did Greg Olson announce the game on Sunday? Surely he did.
surely he did. I know it wasn't on one of the main ones because I would have watched it, and I don't recall hearing his voice. So I could be wrong though.
I'm just gonna look it up real quick, but yeah, dude, Tom Brady. Everybody in the world knew that was gonna be a mistake the minute they heard Greg Olson announce the primetime game and realize, oh, this guy's really good.
Yeah, because didn't it happen the week, like it happened in the off season, and it was announced because Greg Olson wasn't like an established guy at that point, but everyone came to love him in the booth.
He did do a game. It looks like he did the Panthers Steelers or not Panthers, Falcons Steelers.
Okay, I was about to say poor bastard, man.
Falcons Steelers game.
That's brutal if you get replaced by Tom and then have to talk about the Panthers. But yeah, that is my loser of the week. Tom Brady, not as good of an announcer as he was a quarterback. But
confirmed better quarterback than announcer.
Yep.
Tom Brady.
But Tanner, what a college football weekend it was. Some great times, some downright abysmal times.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Is that the truth?
A game we enjoyed? Question mark. Texas, Michigan. Texas beat the shit out.
Yes, I enjoyed.
No way to sugarcoat it. Sorry, Mom, for cussing. But it was ugly, brutal beatdown. It's amazing what happens when you don't know what plays are coming.
Yeah,
give me your thoughts on this one.
It seems like a perfect storm in Michigan is without, as you said, without Connor Stalions, without that insider information, without Jim Harbaugh. Excuse me. They've always been without Jim Harbaugh, without JJ McCarthy, without Blake Corum, without Roman Wilson. This offense, believe it or not, isn't as good as it was last year.
Yeah,
they struggled big time against Texas. And Texas looked every bit the part they should be. I mean, it was just domination. It never felt like Michigan could get anything going offensively. And even Texas kind of took the foot off the gas a little bit. They didn't score in the fourth quarter, and they still won by 19.
Yeah,
like it was an absolute obliteration. 24-3 at halftime. Completely in control from opening kick to final.
Yeah, don't have much else. Quinn Ewers looking like the Heisman hopeful he is.
Yeah, went out. Quinn Ewers looked great. Didn't turn the ball over. The running game didn't really get going, but it didn't need to. It didn't need to because their defense was that good in this game. And on the Michigan side of things, you got to figure out some answers offensively because you're missing all your guys, and it's showing big time.
Do you have the stats pulled up? How did Donovan Edwards do?
8 for 41.
Nice.
So
cover athlete, baby.
Yeah. Again, when you're RB2, this is something that you can ask someone like Tony Pollard. When he was RB2 to Zeke's RB1, he looked amazing.
Yeah.
Zeke was grinding down and out, and then you get to make the personnel change, the backup D lineman come in. Tony Pollard breaks off a 20-yard run. Donovan Edwards did the same thing. He was the hero for Michigan in the title game against Washington. No Blake Corum, take a majority of the workload. Things get a lot more difficult. Only carried the ball 8 times too.
Yeah,
so
not great. Any more thoughts on this one?
Not really, man. It was just I expected Texas to win this game. I think a lot of people did. It was definitely jarring to see the Michigan offense look the way they did. And Texas, I mean, I wouldn't even say they have their defense is like one of the best in college football, and they just held them down. So I think Texas is looking pretty good, man, and just makes that SEC all the more intriguing with Alabama and Georgia looming.
Yeah, absolutely. This next game, Tanner. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, I'd say.
What a collapse. Now, I'm just going to read you off these team stats. And you tell me which team won.
Oh, boy.
Team A. 649 total yards. 416 passing yards. 233 rushing yards. 33 first downs. Third down conversions. 11 of 19. So that's Team A. Team B.
A lot of yards.
385 yards.
Significantly less yards.
326 passing yards. 59 rushing
run
yards.
The ball for
22 first down conversions. 5 for 16 third down conversions. Who do you think won this?
Surely the team that couldn't run the ball is not the team with Ollie Gordon, right?
No, definitely. Yup. That's exactly who it is. Oklahoma State pulled out a victory against Arkansas, 39-31. What a collapse by the Razorbacks.
Yeah, this was a game just because this weekend I was we'll get to that later. I was not watching this game. I was otherwise occupied, and I was checking the score, though. And, I heard the stats you just read me. I know what the score was when I checked it at halftime. I know what the score was when I checked it early in the third quarter. And when you texted us about about this game, I actually had a no way. Like, they lost, and I had to go check, and sure enough, they did. I don't even know how this happens.
Just an utter collapse, man. This game did go into overtime, but it was over at half, man. Arkansas was up 21-7 at half, had complete control of this game, and Oklahoma State got their passing game going, which is not a common thought with this team with Ollie Gordon. I thought, Tanner, Ollie Gordon, 49 yards, 1 touchdown. I am taking that every damn day. Yet they still pulled out a dub. That might be a reason why they're ranked 13th in the nation. But yeah, utter collapse by Arkansas. Just inexplicable, honestly.
Yeah, and it seems just from what I'm seeing, looking at the stats here, getting the bird's eye view here, looks like turnovers were another big one. 3 for the Hogs, only 1 for Oklahoma State.
Yeah. That's the name of the game in this day and age. Moving on, though, a surprisingly good game here, Tanner. Your Superdog. Kansas State did pull out the slight victory over Tulane, but talk about nail biter for Kansas State. Had to go down to the wire, but Kansas State pulls this one.
Yeah, impressive win for Kansas State. I think a lot of people are just going to look at this and be like, wow, you only beat Tulane by 7 on the road in Tulane. Tulane's not a bad team. They did lose their quarterback this past year, or they were a really good team last year. But this is a good win. For Kansas State, it just seems like right now the team is going to go with Avery Johnson under center, and he was pretty impressive. I thought, at least keeping on a straight head, because it was pretty raucous down in New Orleans, and even with his legs, because you look at the stats. Only threw for 181, 2 touchdowns, kept a clean sheet, no picks, and added 40 yards on the ground. This guy seems like he's going to be. Obviously, quarterbacks usually are, but specifically with this Kansas State team, he's going to be the engine that drives it. And then on the ground, DJ Giddens of Kansas State added $114 on the ground. So impressive performance out of Kansas State. Scoring 34 on the road, and Tulane kind of kept it close. Probably should have won, but it was a good showing from Tulane. But anytime you can win a game on the road, K-State, you got to take it, and that's what it's looking like here. So
yeah,
K-State with a good win. I think a lot of people are going to look at this and, like I said, not be too impressed. I was impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Me as well. Now, a game, in my eyes, not as impressive, but they still pulled it out towards the end. Penn State barely beaten Bowling Green, 34-27. Their thoughts.
Yeah. What happened to the big bad Penn State defense here?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
75 yards to Bowling Green. I can't say I had that on my bingo card. And of course, the return of the Drew Aller we all know.
Yeah.
I mean, he was awesome against West Virginia. I was vocal about not believing in was Drew Aller. Kind of shut me up last week.
Yeah.
And this week he was kind of back. I mean, threw a pick. He was relatively efficient. I mean, 13 for 20. Okay, whatever. 67% completion percentage-ish. 204 yards. The key thing here is Penn State's rushing game.
Yeah.
That's what won him this. Singleton and Allen, their two running backs combined for 27 carries and 220 yards. So
that ain't bad.
That ain't bad.
That is not bad at all. But yeah, I'm thinking this is going to be the wake-up call Penn State needed. It seemed they were kind of on cruise control against West Virginia. A lot of people didn't expect that to be the case in week 1. But I think this might have woken up Penn State going into this weekend. But now to kind of the really good standard.
They're really good games.
The last 3 probably were some of my favorites. The last one with a huge asterisk next to it. But Nebraska.
Yeah.
Beating that Buffalo butt.
Oh, nice.
28-10 now. People might look at that. It's only a 18-point loss. Not awful. Big Red was in control the entire game. Wasn't even competitive at points in this game. Dylan Raiola. Dog. Like
true
Patrick Mahomes wannabe.
Patrick Apartments?
Yeah. I mean, but talk to me about this one, man. Nebraska looked really good. Has me terrified.
Yeah, oh yeah.
For the last week.
Absolutely terrified. I think the scariest thing for me was I haven't seen Lincoln Memorial Stadium like that. Maybe in our life.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Raucous.
Yeah.
Now, I know like Nebraska and Colorado hate each other.
Yeah.
Hate each other. It's a big time rivalry. I get that. But holy crap, it was loud. Did you see the stadium video of that pick six?
Oh, yeah.
It was insane how loud it was.
Shout out Will Compton for getting the boys going.
Shout out Will Compton.
What a
great video.
What a great video.
Great video.
They got their, what was it? They got their Gucci bags. We got the pads or something like that. Yeah. That was hard.
Yep. They come in with their Gucci bags. Yeah. But this is such a weird game because it's the two teams that are impossible to figure out. Are they good? Are they bad? Who knows at this point, especially over the past few years. But I think the thing for Colorado here is even last year when they got off to that hot start, and so far this year, I guess really only one game against North Dakota State.
Where they barely won.
This team was always going to go where their offense goes, right? I mean, they still really struggle on defense. And I understand Nebraska, black shirts, super loud. Nebraska did have an underrated defense last year, I thought. 10 points ain't going to cut it. 10 points ain't going to cut it. And whether or not he should have said it does not mean he is wrong.
No.
Because their offensive line is brutal, man.
Awful.
Brutal.
Yeah. For those of you who didn't see it, Shedeur Sanders called out his offensive line by saying, how many times did Dylan Raiola get touched?
I mean,
you don't say it, but damn, he is right.
He's right, but I just can't with the what should you say, what should you not say with that team anymore. It's just every week there's going to be something that people are going to argue about. But of course, the bright spot on Colorado, of course, one of the best players in college football, still balled out, still had 110 yards in the air. He is really, really good. Really good. It's a shame. Colorado, you and I say this all the time. But I think the moral of the story here is not only is Nebraska 2-0, not only did they come out with a big win, we could say the team is back, whatever. The vibe is back
Oh
in
my
Lincoln.
God.
They are excited about their Cornhusker football for the first time in years.
Yeah.
Years. And I think it probably the minute they hired Scott Frost, belief was probably up.
Yeah.
Then the first season happened. They were like, oh, yeah, maybe not.
Dude.
And then it went back down. Like,
shout out Matt Rule, man.
yeah, Matt Rule.
You know you're doing something right when two Hawkeye fans are getting
what a
props.
Fantastic college football coach Matt Rule.
Yeah, not so much NFL, but he's back in the college realm. Couple questions with this one. Obviously, as I said, Cornhuskers took care of business. Wasn't really a competitive game. One, obviously, you've seen the Dylan Raiola comparisons. Do you think it's as weird as everyone's saying?
I don't. So he looks like him, right? Whatever. He looks like him. The haircut's the same. The number's the same. I didn't care. The pregame ritual of like running up and jumping, I thought that may have been a little much. But I mean, if it's one of you look good, feel good, play good, and if it's got him, he's like, I'm Patrick Mahomes. I can throw this 40 yards on a dime, and he does it. Screw it, dude. Do whatever the hell you need.
Yeah, I think people are overreacting to it. I mean, why would you not want him?
Yeah, right. It's not like
one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play.
It's not like he's out here like imitating Daniel Jones. I mean, he's imitating Patrick.
Good Lord,
Patrick
that's Kate McNamara doing that. But no, it's just, in my opinion, being blown way out of proportion. But yes, it's definitely a little cringe. And then on the other side, Shedeur Sanders just walking off the field with 2 minutes left, and then bashing his offensive line. Are you serious?
And obviously we're gonna get into the Iowa game later, but those post game interviews, did you hear what guys like Jay Higgins said after the game?
Yeah.
Versus Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Night and day.
Yep.
Night and day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can, but I just with the I don't want to call them unwritten rules, but like the sportsmanship stuff, the team, the team aspect of it, I'm just so done with that.
Yeah.
Because if it's not clear to you by now, you need to get your eyes checked. Will Compton nailed it there, with the Gucci bags and
doing their TikTok dances.
Yeah, and Dan Lane the year before when they played Oregon with they're playing for clicks.
Yeah.
That's just what they do, and that's fine. That's okay. You can do that. It'll make you nice and popular.
Yeah.
But other teams are going to play football. And you're going to have to deal with that.
They got popped in the mouth. No ifs, ands, or buts about that, but totally agree. I mean, you saw our Twitter on Saturday night. I was going off on Shedeur Sanders. But yeah, definitely a big loser. That's the guy I was referencing earlier. But kind of
were they the biggest loser though?
That's incorrect, because the Fighting Irish, baby.
Oh,
down to the Northern Illinois Huskies, 16-14. Tanner, it's trouble.
It's big trouble. Big trouble. A real impressive win against Texas A&M on the road, and you come out and lay this dud. I mean, it couldn't have come at a worse time, because especially after LSU lost again, and there's chirps about Brian Kelly and now Marcus Freeman, and he won the big one against Texas A&M. And wow, look at this Notre Dame team. They're winning the big one against a Power 4 team now.
Now Power 5. Come on now. Put some respect on Pac-12.
On the Pac-2.
Hey,
put some respect.
The undefeated conference. That's all I'm saying.
Only undefeated conference. You got to love it. But Riley Leonard, man, what the hell happened?
Dude,
he looked awful.
Terrible.
Awful.
Notre Dame is the only, one of 5 schools that has not thrown a passing touchdown this year.
That's not good.
And it's like Air Force and run heavy offenses. It's crazy, because he was good last year at Duke, man. The dude was a problem.
He was good. He was one of the sought after quarterbacks in the portal. And yeah, it hasn't been good. It hasn't been good. And I thought, he was obviously better against Texas A&M. He didn't get in the end zone, but this past week, $163, 2 picks, like just not going to get it done. The running game tried to keep him in it, and obviously their defense, because obviously they were the more talented team, but you got to put up more than 14 at home against NIU.
Yeah.
And the offense went to sleep, and that is a bad loss. Bad loss.
Absolutely, Tanner. But speaking of bad losses, let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, let's just go for it. Iowa had the biggest collapse I've seen in Iowa history, losing to in-state rival Iowa State Cyclones 20-19.
This was as bad as it gets, Sam. And we're talking about bad quarterback play. Cade McNamara.
Bum.
Goodness gracious. It was a real bad day. I'm on this podcast talking about how I think Cade McNamara is better than people give him credit for. I wouldn't say a victory lap, but I kind of puffed out my chest a little bit after the second half against Illinois State. And I am eating all of the pro, dude. It's just straight pro because this guy was awful. Absolutely awful on Saturday. Didn't break 100 yards. Wasn't efficient. Didn't throw for a touchdown. We'll get into specifics later, but the most important play in the game, I firmly believe, was one of the worst quarterbacking decisions I've seen by a quarterback in a very long time, only to be trumped by Will Levis shortly thereafter. But it was really bad. There is exactly one singular bright spot for Iowa in this game. One. And that's it. Everything else was bad. And I'll tell you what, the one bright spot wasn't a defensive player. The defense wasn't particularly great either. I mean, the first half, they were. But it was just not a complete game whatsoever. Multiple Iowa State drives at the end. Man, it's any way you can choke a game, that's what Iowa did. They did about 16 million things wrong in this game. All they had to do was one of those 16 million right, and they win.
Yeah.
I said that. I was talking to my parents after. I said they could have done 15,999,999 things wrong and just do one of them right, and they win this game. Between back-to-back trips inside the 5, not scoring a touchdown.
And how many times did we run the ball in those 6 plays?
0? 2? Yeah, 2. Just
with our outstanding $600,000 worth quarterback.
Yeah, dude. Not scoring touchdown on back-to-back drives, going for 2, seemingly inexplicably at that time, chasing points for no reason when you're ahead. So yeah, that's the worst quarterbacking decision of all time that I just said, only to be trumped by Will Levis. That's the most important play of the game, in my opinion. The most important play of the game. I know I'm just yapping because it's hard to keep a straight thought process on this. But at that point in the game, Iowa was up 13-0. Iowa State had under 40 yards of offense. Opening kickoff, Iowa State gets the ball. They go 3 and out. The crowd is in it. Let's go. They can't do anything. He shanks the punt. Iowa gets the ball in plus territory. The crowd's going nuts. And Cade McNamara on a rollout throws across his body for no reason. Easiest pick of all time. Immediately, Iowa State goes down the field and scores the touchdown.
Yeah.
Was the momentum changer. Absolutely inexcusable. Then, the 75-yard busted coverage.
Oh, yeah. Jalen Noel. Yeah.
So that's about 6 things they've done wrong just there. And again, I'll just needed one of them. I firmly believe if Iowa State, even if they went on a 7-play drive and scored a touchdown here, we still might win this game.
Yeah.
But it was just a 1-play quick hitter after. So Iowa State scored the touchdown after the pick. We're like, oh crap, this is only a 6-point game. Then Iowa comes back, scores their touchdown, and we're like, okay, we answered.
4 minutes left in third quarter.
Then that very next play was the one-play touchdown that completely took the air out of the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Just at that point, we knew we were in trouble.
Yeah.
If that was a 7-play drive and they wore down that offense, I feel like we may still win that game. But the fact it was a one-play bomb.
I mean, it really comes down to those two plays, Darren.
Yes,
that pick and that 75-yard pass, man.
Absolutely does.
I'm just wondering when the hell is Xavier Wampa going to be that 5-star recruit everyone has been talking about, because he got absolutely cooked on that 75-yard pass. I mean, he was 5 yards behind Noel. I mean, it's and I didn't hear anything from him after the game. I know he got pulled after that play. Or later that drive or something like that. But he did get pulled. You got to be looking at this OC, Tim Lester. You have to. I mean, we were dominating the run game first half. Why the hell did we go away from it? Caleb Johnson was eating at Pizza Ranch play after play after play. I mean, I think he averaged like 5-6 yards a pop. Why did we stop and give the ball to dog shit Caden McNamara? It makes zero sense to me, Tanner. I don't understand. It just frustrates me. Yeah. We see this offense explode second half against Illinois State, obviously FCS opponent, but looked different, felt different week one. Guess who comes back? Kirk Ferentz. It's back to normal. One thing I did see that I think you'll find funny is someone tweeted, if Brian Ferentz is our OC, we probably win that game because God knows he's not changing.
He's not doing anything.
I mean, it was extremely frustrating. And it's not like because last year it was, the offense just going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Our defense gets worn down and lets up big plays, right? It's not like we weren't like having consistent 2, 3, 4-minute drives. The defense just got cooked on a couple plays, and now it's a difference maker, Tanner.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mentioned that one bright spot. I was talking about Caleb Johnson, 25 carries for $187
dog
and 2 touchdowns. Dog. An absolute dog. He was eating, as you said. But at some point, I've said it once, I've said it a million times. This program is going nowhere as long as Kirk Ferentz is the head coach. I refuse to believe, which is it seems kind of backwards, because the reason the offense went stagnant is because they tried to pass the ball. But it's no coincidence that the offense got really bad the week Kirk Ferentz comes back. And why are we talking about this? Well, like, what's the reason why? I mean, Caden McNamara is awful. He was awful in this game. That's 2, 3. We'll call it 3. 3 quarterbacks in a row that are straight up awful.
Yeah.
This is a talent evaluation problem.
Yeah.
What is a coach's job? To go and get good players. The players he's getting are not good. Cade McNamara, bad. Deacon Hill, bad. Spencer Petras, bad. Like we could talk about scheme. We could talk about all of this. From what I saw on Sunday, there is no scheme that is making Cade McNamara throw to receivers because he is bad.
Yeah.
And it's a problem when your head coach keeps putting all of his eggs into quarterbacks' baskets that are bad.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to go anywhere if you don't get good players. And I fear that he just can't scout a quarterback.
Yeah.
Or he's lost his ability to, because Nate Stanley was pretty good. CJ Beathard was great.
Yeah.
We're in a rough stretch right now.
Very rough.
Got to bring in good quarterbacks, and the team just isn't. And as long as he is the head coach and he is making decisions on who to bring in to play on the offensive side of the ball, I fear we're going to have this issue.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as we want to bash Cade McNamara, you gotta give props where props is due. Rocco Bagman. He struggled. First half was rattled. Kinnick Faithful had him in shambles that first half, man. But boy, what a second half comeback. Came out firing. With him coming back, they looked unstoppable in that second half. They got two dogs at wideout in Jalen Knoll and Jaden Higgins, two dogs. And
yeah, Knoll was really good. Knoll was really
we're not even talking about their running game. Didn't even really do anything all game. Sama, I think he had like 200 rushing yards against K-State last year. He only had 58 yards. So, I mean, literally what happened to Iowa in the first half happened to Iowa State in the second half, except not really. I mean, it was just domination on two sides. But, I mean, extremely disappointing. I was talking with our friend Keegan. I was like, dude, to be honest, this is exactly the games we just won these type of games last year.
We hope, yeah.
That's literally the only difference, right? We
have in Kirk Ferentz's tenure over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just this is bad. This is one of the worst. I think I was talking with another friend of ours. I mean, I honestly think now, obviously, recency bias. I get it. I acknowledge that this might be the third worst loss. Fourth worst loss. I think.
All right, give me the three above.
Then number one, forever and always, will be Michigan State.
Yeah.
The thing about some of these though is that they're just heartbreaking because I was proud after because man, we fought. Obviously, this one is not proud at all. Number two was also a game I was proud was 2017 Penn State.
Penn State
lost on the last play of the game.
Last play, yeah.
But those two were heartbreaking. I think number three is going to be North Dakota State. Year after the Rose Bowl, a lot of people came back. Season went down the drain really early, and then I think I got this one at 4.
Yeah. It's very disappointing. It seems all the wind in Iowa sails has been diminished tremendously. The ship's slowly sinking. We got a leak in the lower deck. But
and we talked about, by the way, we did it when we did our best case scenario, worst ceiling and floor. We did our ceiling and floor. We're like, look, there are games on here where we don't know. At Minnesota, at home against Nebraska, at home against Iowa State. These are all rivalry games. Weird things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Has this given you any confidence that they're going to win those games?
No. Zero.
And then obviously you got Ohio State on the schedule, which is an auto L. So now you're looking at 5-6 losses.
Yeah.
If those don't go your way. So I think this kind of put the season in a very scary place.
Yeah.
Very scary place.
I think this upcoming weekend's going to tell a lot.
If we just come out and
just super slow, or do we come out and beat Troy as we should by 40? We'll see. It's going to be interesting.
The last note.
Yeah.
As much as we're dogging on Iowa, as much as this sucks, and I think it's an embarrassing loss, and how we've had so many of these losses that should be the wake-up call to Kirk Ferentz that just haven't been. You do have to give major props to Kyle Conradi. Absolutely.
Yeah. The fact we haven't mentioned this.
54-yarder would have been good from 65. An absolute rocket of a leg. Even after missing a field goal earlier in the game, it was true the entire way. I mean, it was a nuke. And it was as clutch as it gets. So
yeah, shout out him, man. But definitely a frustrating loss when it seemed we were in complete control in the first half. Utter collapse. But that'll wrap a bow on week 2 of college football. Let's move to week 1 of NFL. Tanner kicked off with a banger.
What a game this was, man.
Ravens. 27-20, obviously biggest game, and biggest play in the game was that called back touchdown by Isaiah Likely, is that the
Yep.
dude's name? Foot was out of bounds, unfortunately. It was a good call, but yeah, talk to me. What'd you think of this one? Lamar Jackson dropped, I guess, a lot of weight compared to last year.
Yeah.
That's like all they talked about.
Looks like the same stick, but he's
still fast as hell.
He's so fast. I can't say after this game I'm buying or selling any additional stock from either of these teams. I think it kind of teams looked how I thought they would. Isaiah Likely's a dog. Looked like he got his arm ripped out of socket the play before, and he comes back. And if he was a size half of a foot smaller, we're heading to overtime.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice, still that guy for Kansas City. Looks like they've got a new weapon.
Of course, bro.
Why wouldn't they? Right? Of course, that has to happen. I think my main story here, obviously, it's a little bit suppressed because of the play of Isaiah Likely. But where was anybody in the Ravens receiving corps?
Yeah.
Literally anybody. Rashad Bateman only had 2 catches. Justice Hill was their third leading receiver. Their backup running back was their third leading receiver. Zay Flowers, the big time draft pick from a year ago, had a good rookie season. He's going to be promising, right? He only had 37 yards. Mark Andrews barely even played.
Yeah.
2 catches for 14 yards. Wide receiving corps needs to step up.
What Derrick Henry do? I don't recall him being like the dominant force he always is.
He was, and he did have a touchdown, but he had 13 carries for 46.
Give him the damn ball.
And I mean, just that option with Lamar Jackson, who added 122 yards on the ground, by the way, in this game. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry should be unstoppable.
Should be.
So I think they maybe Todd Monken has a few things to figure out in Baltimore to round this out a little bit. But like I said, definitely not selling any Ravens stock. Lamar Jackson's still phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs, man, they continue to find ways to win, and they continue to find people to contribute in ways that everybody sees coming. The minute they get Xavier Worthy, we're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
This guy's going to be good.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he is.
Yeah. Obviously, there were some interesting referee calls in this one. The most notable, in my opinion, was the timeout. That shouldn't have been a timeout because
the defensive coordinator
cannot call it. And they're like, this is blatantly against the rules, but yeah, we'll let it slide. You always hear that the Chiefs get the benefit of the calls. I personally didn't believe it until that game. I was like,
yeah,
it is just, and it's not even like on the, it is like on the catch. Is this foot inbound? Like they get both, is either it is or it isn't, right? And yeah,
it's really tough because it sucks because he shouldn't have been granted that timeout. If you're a referee and you're watching the game and someone comes running from this way yelling, timeout, 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 your instinct is to grant the timeout.
I will give the ref.
And then once you grant the timeout, you can't ungrant the timeout.
Yeah. That's true.
So, I guess the ref probably should have maybe turned his head a little bit to think this has to be the head coach, or known that Andrew Reid probably wasn't getting up and down the sideline like that.
Yeah. True.
That's a little bit of a stretch. I've had Big Red, but yeah, it's really tough with those because I do agree. I mean, it sucks. He shouldn't have been given it, and it's a huge play in the game, but it's also like,
yeah,
he just kind of like someone goes timeout. You're like, okay, timeout.
Yeah, for sure. So that kicked off the NFL season Thursday. Then we got a Friday game only on Peacock for some reason down in Brazil. Eagles 34, Packers 29. Obviously, big headline coming out of this one. Two. Saquon Barkley is still pretty freaking good. And the injury to Jordan Love. partially torn MCL, I think is what I read. So not out for the season, but definitely not going to be playing anytime soon. But kind of give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed the two names that immediately come to mind, right? I think if you're the Packers, not good, right? No. Not good. You lose the game, fine. But losing the game, losing your quarterback for 4, I think he was placed on IR, so that's 4 to 5 weeks at a minimum. Not good. Obviously not good. I don't think he was particularly great either. In this game, I know the Eagles defense, whatever, they have good players, but as a unit, they're not great. And Brazil, weird game. I wasn't going to immediately get up there and say, oh, why'd you pay? It's a weird game. So I can see why Jordan Love maybe didn't come out and play his best football. But it's about it. That's a disaster. The only way it's a disaster for Green Bay is if you lose and you lose your quarterback. And that's a disaster.
Yep.
Jaden Reed looked good. The wide receiver.
Yeah.
Putting up $138 and a touchdown. It's really tough if you're the Packers to be positive after where they came out. And then if you're the Eagles, Jalen Hurts got to protect the football.
Good Lord.
He's got to protect the football. Start out rough from that standpoint. But obviously, the key is Saquon.
That's so stupid.
The key is Saquon. And he was very, very good for the Eagles that night.
Can you imagine paying Daniel Jones and Lens?
That's malpractice, dude. I think, I can't even defend. It's so bad. It is just so bad. And I think if you are a Giants fan, you should hate Ed Donatel more than I do.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I hate him a lot. I really don't. I don't like it if he's happy. But Ed Donatel was the defensive coordinator for the Vikings in that 2022 season where they had the horseshoe up their ass, won every game by a field goal, went 13-4, lost to the Giants when that team had one of the worst defenses to ever win a division. That's no stats beyond that, just my own personal thoughts. That defense was so bad, and Daniel Jones looked like the white Lamar Jackson, the way he was running, Vanilla Vic, whatever you want to say. The way the dual threat, he looked incredible in that game. Saquon Barkley was incredible in that game, but that is the reason why they paid Daniel Jones, was that game right there.
Yeah. But yeah.
But so Eagles, again, I keep going back to the stock thing. Eagles, I think I'm holding Eagles stock. Packers, I got to be selling at this current moment. Obviously, if you tread water and Jordan Love comes back, we're having a different conversation. But right now, the outlook looks bleak.
Yeah.
And over their next few games, I mean, they got the Colts, hit or miss team. Titans, they had a rough week 1. Then the Vikings, who knows what your quarterback situation, what the Vikings are looking like, and then the Rams, who looked pretty good too. So
yeah,
you could see 2-3 losses in there.
And who's their quarterback?
Malik Willis.
God, rough.
Yeah, it's
I
rough.
think they go and get Tannehill.
Joe Flacco, try and trade him for maybe the Colts. Get Tannehill.
Minshew Mania in Green Bay.
Minshew's a starter.
Is he really?
For the Raiders.
That's on me. I'll wear that. I don't know, Bull, I guess.
I'm trying to think what else they could do. I don't.
Dude, let's get wacky and bring in Johnny Manziel. Why not?
Why not?
You got 4 weeks.
Trade for Jameis.
Have some fun. That's crazy. Now we're talking crazy. Yeah, that's a fact. Speaking of crappy contracts, that guy. But moving on, surprisingly good game. A game a lot of people were not expecting to be good, but ended the way people thought it would. Bills win this one against the Cardinals, 34-28. Taylor, got any thoughts?
I got 2. One, I'm impressed with the Cardinals. I think they are going to be a better team than people expect them to be this year. I still like Kyler Murray a lot. I don't think he had the most impressive statistical day on Sunday, but I still like Kyler Murray as a quarterback. Obviously, him and James Conner as the rushing duo, I think that's a formidable rushing attack, and it's not going to be amazing. But the receiving is the issue here. And Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't do a thing in this one catch for 4 yards.
Yeah.
That's going to be where this team has the biggest area of improvement, because it's a little bit brutal right now. It's a little bit brutal. Greg Dortch, I mean, he's a veteran, been in the league for a few years. He was their leading receiver. Trey McBride is a promising young tight end too, but I mean, Marvin Harrison's got to figure it out at some point. But I do think in week 1, this was much better than I expected the Cardinals to look, and I think they will be better than people think. On the Bills side of things, I fear this is going to have to be how the Bills win games.
Yeah.
Josh Allen being Superman. Get a little help from James Cook, but Josh Allen needs to be Superman. And he was on Sunday, but can he continue to do so? I don't know.
Yeah. That's the story of this game. Moving on though, Tanner. Vikings look good. Obviously, first game without Kirk Cousins. Walked in with Sam Darnold, and boy, did he look good, leading the Vikings to a 28-6 win over the Giants.
This is exactly who Sam Darnold needs to be. He needs to be efficient, and he needs to take care of the football. He did have a pick, which the pick, it's hard to tell whether it was fault or not. Dexter Lawrence, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the game, kind of completely blew up the play, hit his arm as he threw. And at that point, the game was already kind of out of reach. So I maybe fault the coaching on throwing that more so than Darnold. But he was 19 for 24. Can't get it to your playmakers if you don't complete the pass.
Yeah.
He did that. Had 2 touchdowns, got in the end zone, took care of the football, didn't fumble, had that one only that one pick, which I'm not even sure is his fault. This is exactly who Sam Darnold needs to be. And let me tell you one thing, Sam. The Vikings do not win this football game. Or maybe they do, but they don't win in the same fashion. They don't look as good if Kirk Cousins is playing quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because if Kirk Cousins is playing quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, Aaron Jones is not playing running back for the Minnesota Vikings.
That's true.
Andrew Van Ginkel is not playing defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings. Jonathan Grenard is not playing defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings. All of that money that was going to a middling quarterback or a higher end of the middling tier quarterback got distributed among really freaking good football players all over the field, and they made an impact today, Sam. Aaron Jones was unbelievable in his first game in purple. 14 carries, 94 yards, man. Had a 19-yard run in there, scored a touchdown. Andrew Van Ginkel had the pick 6. He was all over the place. It was just every upgrade they made in the offseason at every other position shined. And the only reason they were able to do that was because they weren't paying Kirk Cousins a gajillion billion dollars.
Yeah.
And that is why the team was never, ever going to win with Kirk Cousins as quarterback. They didn't have any money to spend, and the defense was just so bad.
Yeah. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But moving on, any last comments on that one?
Just take a look at the Giants side of things real quick. Obviously, we've talked about it a little bit.
What trash ass franchise.
Oh boy. Daniel Jones is not it. He is not it.
Who would have thought?
He's not it. He was brutal. Absolutely brutal. He still threw the ball 42 times.
Or Malik Neighbors, man.
Yeah. And even Malik Neighbors was still pretty impressive. He was their leading receiver. But numerous missed wide receivers, holding onto the ball when he shouldn't, poor offensive line play. I mean, it's a rough spot for the Giants. Their defensive line is really good.
Yeah.
So we'll give them that. The defensive line did play pretty well, specifically Dexter Lawrence,
Yeah.
who was getting double and triple team all day and still leads the NFL in pressures, by the way. Dexter Lawrence, he is unbelievable as that nose tackle. But still, it's rough. It's rough if you're a Giants fan. And I think we're going to have a debate. Or maybe it's not a debate. I don't know, because I don't really know what my answer is. But who has the worst contract in the league? Is it Daniel Jones?
Or is it this quarterback?
Or is it
Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns? They got their ass kicked by my Cowboys, 33-17. Game wasn't even that close. On paper, it looks a lot closer. But boy, great segue. As bad as Daniel Jones was, I think Deshaun Watson is right there. Threw for 45 times, completed 24 of them. 169 yards, 2 interceptions. He did get a touchdown, but in garbage time. Like the game was over at that point. But Deshaun Watson, not great. Honestly, not a great performance from the Browns. I mean, I would make the argument these two teams have two of the best defenses in the NFL. I mean, I think they have the two of the best defensive, and I don't know if I put them at 1 and 2, but Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, obviously were in this game. The Browns defense is like a top 5 defense. Where were they? And if you look at the stats, though, Dak Prescott wasn't overly impressive, especially after that big old payday. You think he'd come out slinging the damn rock, but I mean, he only had 1 touchdown. Zeke scored with 4 yards. I mean, CeeDee Lamb only had 61 yards. I mean, it wasn't overly impressive offensive output by the Cowboys, other than the GOAT kicker, Brandon Aubrey, hit 1 from 57, going 4 for 4. But like, it just seemed the Cowboys were in control this entire game. And it showed on the scoreboard. But yeah, I mean, if you're the Browns, you have all this money put into one guy, and he is, I mean, it's a similar situation, not obviously on the scale of the Giants, because they are riddled with some injuries. Their number 1 receiver, David Njoku, went out in this one. Obviously, the injury to Nick Chubb. So they are missing some playmakers, but Deshaun Watson did not look good. And it'll be interesting if he plays every game this NFL season, if he keeps it up.
Yeah. So looking at this game, the Cowboys, I don't think their offense was particularly efficient, as everything you've said. I'm not going to read too much into that. As you had said, the Browns are a really good defense. And I just looking into how this game played out. So the Cowboys had a 70-yard touchdown drive and a 78-yard touchdown drive, right? But since then, the Cowboys had a drive where they gained 17 yards, kicked a field goal. That was off a Cleveland punt and a good return.
Yeah.
Dallas had a punt return for a touchdown. 4 plays, 1 yard field goal for the Cowboys after a Deshaun Watson interception. What else? We also have a 6-play, 14-yard field goal after the Browns turned it over on downs. You have another 10-yard field goal after the Browns turned it over on downs again. So I do not fault the Browns defense whatsoever in this game. The offense couldn't get anything going continuously with short fields. You had the punt return, which obviously adds some to the total. But on the Browns side of things, they ticked off John Fanta, man. They ticked off, and I think he has every right to be ticked.
God.
And like Deshaun Watson is it. I think he in that little rant he had, give it up. He can't play. That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That's the truth of it. He just can't play anymore. He's just not good at the sport.
No.
And that's the issue here. This is a stacked roster, man. Their defense is so good. That wide receiving core, they got a great tight end in Njoku. They've got Amari Cooper, wide receiver 1. They've got Jerry Jeudy to come in a wide receiver 2. Like, this is a good team, and it's all being dragged down by incompetent quarterback play. And he is right now on the level of Daniel Jones, as we've said, as some of the worst quarterback play in the league. And if you're a Browns fan, you have to be incredibly frustrated because similar to Iowa, it's just keep running out horrible quarterback play and everything else around it just can't go.
Yeah.
The offense can't function with that. And it sucks because the Browns fans deserve better. They finally have a roster, and then they have a terrible human being who's a terrible quarterback on their team. And there's just no redeeming qualities about this guy. Something needs to be done. It just does. And last year, when they had competent quarterback play by a 45-year-old freaking corpse of a quarterback, they went to the freaking playoffs.
Yeah.
It's not that hard a formula.
Yeah.
This guy can't do it.
You think they're regretting getting rid of Baker?
Yeah, I do think they are. But
so here's a little fun graphic I saw earlier today on Bleacher Report. So Baker, since leaving the Browns, 44 total touchdowns, 18 picks, 6,496 passing yards, a rating of 90.9, completion percentage 63.3%, and then in the playoffs 1-1. So obviously on the Bucks, do they have a better receipt? I mean, I would say it's a better offensive weapons, but Deshaun Watson is definitely not struggling in that department.
Right. No, the Buccaneers have better they're better pass catchers.
Yeah.
But the Browns are a better team. They're a better roster than the Buccaneers.
Now, Deshaun Watson, 17 touchdowns, 11 picks, 2,386 passing yards, 78.1 rating, and 59.1 completion percentage. And the stat that brings it all home, 0-0 in playoffs.
0-0 in playoffs. And I think also 24 felonies?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Can't forget those. It's bad. But to answer your question, Tanner, who has the worst contract? As bad as Deshaun Watson is playing, I still have to give it to David because we've all seen the clips. We paid Daniel Jones. We can't keep Saquon.
Yeah.
And that's what takes the edge, man.
The fact that there was a direct opportunity cost of the best player on your team. There's a direct opportunity cost of the best player on your team and who's now doing it for your division rival. But the Deshaun one is more money and it's fully guaranteed.
That's true. I forgot about that part.
But it's bad. It's bad. It's a rough time to be one of those fans. Now, who has it worse? Giants fans? Browns fans? This is just for right now, not historically. Giants fans, Browns fans, Panthers fans. Who has it worse?
Without a doubt, dude. There is no bright spots.
There's none.
There's like you mentioned the Giants have a great defensive line. That's something. The Browns, they have a good
team.
They have
minus
quarterback. What do the Panthers have?
I can tell you what they do have.
What?
This year that they didn't have last year. Their first round draft pick.
That's true.
They do have that. Yeah. Things are looking up. Things are looking up for the Panthers, which will, by all indications, after 1 week, we're looking like another number one pick here. So maybe they can make this one count. But
yeah, it's rough out in Carolina. But moving on, probably my favorite game of the weekend, Rams, Lions. I believe this is a playoff rematch, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, so much surrounding this game. Kind of the two best coaches in the league, Sean McVay Dan Campbell. Young coaches, I should say.
These teams have been intertwined.
Obviously intertwined. We got Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff. You all know it. This one was fun, Tam, man. I love it.
It was fun.
Until
I love it. Dear NFL.
Dude.
For the
How
love
can they
of
not get it
God.
right? They can't get it right, Tanner.
For the love of God. These two teams were so evenly matched. Down the stretch, it was so awesome. Matthew Stafford was playing lights out football. And we don't get to see him touch the ball in overtime, man. You need to fix it. You do.
It's so bad.
You need to fix it. Man up.
It's
College beat you at something. It's okay. You know the reason why they won't is because they don't want to admit that college football did something better than they did.
Yeah.
But guess what? They did. It's okay. No one will care. Adopt the damn overtime.
It's bad.
Move it back a little bit because NFL kickers are just that much better.
Mhm.
Start at the 40, but play college overtime.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
It is. The fact two random podcasters can figure it out is impressive, man.
And it sucks because this game rocked.
This game was
And I should not be the only thing I should be thinking about is not how irrationally angry I am that the NFL is so inept in their overtime rules.
Yeah. I mean, this game, every time, it feels like every time these two teams get together, it is like one of the best games of this season. I mean, I have always been a huge fan of Matthew Stafford. I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in recent NFL history. I don't think anybody can argue that.
What a day for him, man. He was
had one bad mistake late in the game. Might have been camouflage.
Yeah, that's right.
But, no, I mean, I love both of these. It's hard not to like these two teams, man. A guy I kind of forgot about, Tanner. Cooper Kupp. Still good.
He's still that good.
But obviously with the Rams, Puka goes down in this one. Strained PCL, head to the injury reserve, missing at least 4 games. So that's tough to see. But like as much as this game rocked, it sucks. It came down to stupid NFL rules.
Yeah. And to actually, to get into the game, like you said, Cooper Kupp's still awesome. David Montgomery was awesome. His overtime was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And of course, the star of the show, Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
Was unbelievable for Detroit. Detroit's got an embarrassment of riches, man. They do. And you know who we didn't mention anywhere on this? Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Did you see him in the box score? Because he had to scroll all the way to the bottom to see him.
No way.
Amon-Ra St. Brown had 3 catches for 13 yards.
Wow.
And they beat the Rams. Embarrassment of riches, man. This team has got players at all levels.
Yeah, it's just can Jameson stay healthy?
Can Jameson stay healthy? Can Goff get it to the guys? And can their defense hold up? Which seems like a 3 for 3 in game 1 as they beat a really good a good Rams team, a team that I think that's better than most people think they are. So again, another one of those scenarios where I'm not buying or selling either stock or either team after this. It was just a good football game and figure out your damn overtime.
Yeah, absolutely. Now a game that was boring as hell, not a fun game to watch. Monday Night Football, snooze fest. 49ers, Jets, 49ers 32, Jets 19. But hey, Aaron Rodgers played more than 3 plays.
He will be starting week 2.
There you go.
For the New York Jets.
But give me your thoughts on this one, man. I mean, you kind of already mentioned that performance from I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden.
Jordan Mason
coming in for Christian McCaffrey. What seemed to be at last minute wasn't actually last minute. But, I mean, he really was a difference maker in this game.
Yeah,
man.
He was. And I just think that maybe we overreacted to the 49ers. We looked at them. We say, hey, they lost the Super Bowl again with an incredibly talented team. The year before, they lost in the NFC Championship game. And they're now in holdouts. Remember the holdout that Nick Bosa had all those years ago? And then, of course, we had the Brandon Ayuk saga. And they had all this offseason, people trying to get paid. The problem when your team is so good, you got to pay all your players. And they somehow figured out how to do so. But it definitely took away some of the offseason hype. I mean, I wouldn't say the vibes were all that high with this team, with the holdouts, with the losing in the Super Bowl. Yeah, they're still good.
Yeah,
they're still really good, and they don't need their best player to remind you how good they are. It's just the run scheme is unbelievable. An undrafted rookie running back had 147 yards on the ground and a touchdown. I mean, the scheme is unbelievable. The offensive line is unbelievable. Brock Purdy has mastery of the offense. He obviously doesn't need to be that good. I mean, I think Brock Purdy is better than a lot of people think. He's also worse than a lot of people think. He's just a good quarterback, a smart quarterback on a great football team. He's smart. He is very smart with the football. And unless he's playing the Ravens that one Monday night when he was not smart with the football.
Or Iowa State.
Or Iowa at Iowa State. Or TCU at Iowa State. Really? He was smart with against Oklahoma at Iowa State because they'd always beat Oklahoma for some reason. Anyway, back on track here. We forgot about the 49ers somehow, and we were drinking the Jets Kool-Aid. The offense needs some oil on the squeaky wheels because, I mean, it was just disjointed. It was just disjointed.
Yeah, man. Honestly, don't have a whole lot to talk about this. I mean, Aaron Rodgers looked okay. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, it's one of the greatest quarterbacks to have play out there. He's fine.
He was playing the 49ers, so he never beat them.
That's true. That is true. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of a sad way to end week one.
Yeah, it was. I agree with that. It was just kind of boring the way the 49ers were just bludgeoning the Jets. There's one person who's the happiest man on earth right now, Hassan Reddick, because the Jets pass rush got negative pressure on Brock Purdy. I think his agent just added a few extra zeros to his asking price after the way this Jets D-line played.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Exactly.
I mean, obviously, decent week one. We had some good games, had some snoozers. Question I have for you, Tanner.
Yes.
The quarterback play. Week one.
Bad.
Not great.
Bad.
I mean, we had two quarterbacks over 300 yards. When was the last time that happened?
Yeah.
And only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like 13 over 200.
Yeah.
Like,
it was bad quarterback play.
Let's go.
And I don't know if you guys checked your fantasy leagues. Scores were real low this week.
Yeah.
Scores were real low this week. I'm not entirely sure what happened, why offense was so down. I mean, really, what rule changes? Obviously, the new kick. I don't think the new kick would have anything to do with it. Maybe the illegal formation stuff. With the
seemed to only be called on the Ravens.
Seemed to only be called on the Ravens. But they were talking about it on the Monday Night Football broadcast that like 24 illegal formation penalties were called this week, with the tackles being too far off the line. So maybe tackles don't have as quick a get off. And some people off the edge are getting a little bit better pressure. We'll
go with that. Guess. We'll go with that.
But yeah, the quarterback play was not good this week. The offense was down, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely a story to keep your eye on.
But before we wrap up the NFL, I got the quick insult stat. Talk about bad quarterback play.
Let's hear it.
I'm gonna give you. It's just two questions. What has happened more? Okay.
Oh, Lord.
What has happened more? Since Daniel Jones signed his mega deal at the beginning of last year, what has happened more? Has Daniel Jones thrown more touchdowns, A, to New York Giants?
Oh, no.
Or B, to opponents? What has happened more?
It's got to be the opponents.
And we have a winner. He has thrown more touchdown passes to opponents with 3 pick sixes to 2 touchdown passes. My next one, Sam.
Pick sixes.
What has happened more? Has Daniel Jones thrown more touchdowns to his teammates? Or has Saquon Barkley scored more touchdowns as a Philadelphia Eagle? What has happened more?
Saquon Barkley as an Eagle.
Saquon Barkley as an Eagle with 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones with
That's so mean.
2.
I love it. I love it.
So that's the insult side of the day.
It's good. I thought you were going with the Panthers there, but I like that one a lot. For those of you who don't know, the 2 best quarterbacks the last week were former Panthers.
Oh yeah, that's another one. Another great one. Well, that one deserves to be spoken about a little bit. The 2 highest rated quarterbacks this week: number 1, Baker Mayfield; number 2, Sam Darnold. They were both on the Panthers 2 years ago.
Oh, brother.
So, yeah.
It's tough out there.
It's tough out here for the Giants. It's tough out here for the Panthers. But hey, they play each other in Germany.
Oh, yeah. I saw plenty of those tweets. Good Lord. But that's going to wrap it up for some NFL. Next segment we got is Player of the Week. We are going to do a little different this year. Usually it was me doing college football, Tanner doing NFL. This year we're each going to do one for each league. So Tanner, give me your NCAA Player of the Week.
Yeah, Sam, I am going to pick a quarterback for my Player of the Week. Now, this is someone who led his team to a pretty big win over a ranked opponent this weekend. And I have heard nothing about this team, about this game, about this player. He currently sits 3rd in the NCAA in passing yards so far this season. 3rd.
Cade?
Believe it or not, it's not Cade. He currently sits 3rd in passing yards this season. Some say he may have downgraded. He definitely downgraded in quality of program because he just transferred. But he led his Syracuse Orange to a big win over Georgia Tech. I'm going Kyle McCord here, Sam. He dropped back 46 times in the Orange win over the Jackets, the 23rd ranked Jackets, might I add, coming off of that, of course, big win against Florida State in week 0. Dropped back 46 times, completed 32 of them for 381.
Jeez.
4 touchdowns, no picks.
That'll do.
It was a great day for Kyle McCord, and the Orange won 31-28. Got all 4 touchdowns and scored 38 points. All 4 touchdowns were through the air upon Kyle McCord's arm. He had a great day, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it. So here we are. Kyle McCord, Player of the Week.
I think he's going to be one of those guys that just go crazy this year and is in the Heisman race for majority, and he's like that 4th one no one remembers.
He's there in 10 years when we're watching them announce, like, who's that there, and then we got the finalists. Who's that? I don't remember that. Yeah,
exactly. For my college football Player of the Week, I believe it is our first back-to-back Player of the Week, Tanner.
This guy is unreal.
Unbelievable. Of course, we are talking about Boise State's own Ashton Jeanty. 25 carries, 200 yards, 7.7 per carry, and 3 tuds against the Oregon Ducks. Unfortunately, couldn't pull it out. But, boy, this dude is what people thought Ollie Gordon was going to be this year. This dude is taking over his spot as the best running back in the college football world.
Yeah. I mean, he's been unbelievable. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's back-to-back 200-yard weeks.
He's going crazy. Unbelievable. But now let's go to the other league, NFL. Tanner, who do you got?
This one's going to be, I don't know. This is a running back, right? And it's not going to be who you think it is, because there are plenty of running backs who had great days. Obviously, we just talked about Saquon Barkley. Probably had the best day of any running back, but everyone's talking about Saquon Barkley. Got the big payday. Jordan Mason, we're talking about him. Great day. Everyone's talking about him. This is someone, again, nobody is talking about. And let me tell you, Sam, nobody deserves this more than this guy. Give me J.K. Dobbins from the Los Angeles Chargers. Did you see his stats at all, Sam?
Oh.
He had 135 yards on the ground, a touchdown, and guess how many carries? 135 and a touchdown.
10.
Nailed it. 10 carries.
Holy shit.
Averaged over 13 yards a carry. Gus Edwards, the backup for LA, had 11 carries. He had 10. Gus Edwards had 26 yards. J.K. Dobbins had 135. Damn. No one's talking about him. He had an amazing day. And like I said, no one deserves it more than him.
Yeah.
After brutal injuries, supposed to be a huge part in that Ravens offense in back-to-back years. Torn Achilles, every injury in the book. He hasn't played for a while, and he deserves this. He deserves this big time, and he was excellent, and no one's talking about him. So for my players of the week, I wanted to highlight people who aren't getting talked about.
Yeah, that's a great poll, Tanner. Like we kind of said, not a huge offensive weekend for the NFL as a whole, but it seems like this guy was the guy. And that, of course, is Baker Mayfield putting on a show for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, this dude was slinging the damn rock, 24 for 30, 80% completion rate. That's unheard of in the NFL. 289 yards, 9.6 per average in 4 touchdowns with a QBR of 146.4.
Sounds good.
So, yeah.
That sounds pretty
Baker
good.
Mayfield, one of my favorite players in the NFL. I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. Just got looked over and kind of screwed over, but that's conversation for another day. But yeah, Baker Mayfield is my NFL player of the week.
And no one talks about that wide receiver duo, man.
Yeah.
We all talk about Mike Evans. We don't talk about Chris Godwin.
Yeah. I feel like he's just like the forgotten piece to that offense, man.
This guy's really good too. And shame on any idiot out there who had him on their bench this week. I mean, just shame on that guy.
Yeah. What an idiot.
Because this guy is good.
I might not know where Gardner Minshew is, but hey, I would never put Chris Godwin on my bench.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Chris Godwin was the leading receiver. He was excellent too. But Baker Mayfield, man, he was efficient. He was on time. He was on target. 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable performance.
Yeah. That great performances by all these guys. I mean, like I said with that college, Kyle McCord's going to be that guy this year. I firmly believe that. I mean, J.K. Dobbins, you mentioned him in the freaking injuries he's had to bow through. So it's good highlighting those guys. But now we got a special guest for our week 3 pick'em. So stay tuned for that.
I'm ready.
And we now welcome on our first guest picker in Crunch Time history, Cameron Tissue. Cameron, how are you tonight?
We're good, man. We're good. It's nice and warm down here in Tampa at the old 9:30 hour, baby.
That's brutal. Let's kick it off with some college football. Kind of a crappy slate this weekend, unfortunately, compared to last weekend.
We're hungover from hate week.
But we still got some good games. Tissue, first game, Arizona, Kansas State coming off a tough game against Tulane, but who you got here?
If they were playing anywhere besides Manhattan, Kansas, I would go Arizona. I mean, they could be playing on the moon, and I would have picked Arizona. But I'm going to go with K-State because it's at home. That is the only thing.
He's going with the home team, but not so fast, my friend. The Arizona Wildcats quarterback, Noah Fafita. Know the name. This offense is high-powered. They scored 61 on New Mexico in week 1. They won in week 2. It was kind of a not their best game. They played Northern Arizona, who is, I think, better than most people think. They scored. Northern Arizona won their first game 66-6, by the way. But anyway, back to Arizona. I like this team a lot. I think they're my sleeper in the Big 12. I don't think they win the Big 12, but I think they beat Kansas State in this game. Give me the Wildcats.
I completely forgot this is a Big 12 matchup.
Oh, yeah.
But I am going to go with Tanner here. I love this Arizona offense. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But give me the Wildcats in this one.
Tissue going alone on that, huh?
I will say 7.5 spread is abysmal. That is outrageous. I don't know.
Yeah, yep. Next game, Tissue, your Tigers taking on the Gamecocks. This is the college game day game. You got you rolling with your Tigers?
I mean, I got to stick by the Bayou Bengals. I will say South Carolina, I mean, they look pretty good. I mean, LSU still hit or miss. We got Crybaby Kelly as our head coach still. So, I mean, I really don't know what's about to happen. But I'm going to stick with the Bayou Bengals. I mean, I got to go with LSU here.
Fair.
Great pick. I agree. I'm going to go with LSU here as well. I think South Carolina, a lot of their recent kind of upset ability, you know, they had that year where they beat Tennessee and Clemson in back-to-back years and officially knocked Tennessee out of the playoff race. They had Spencer Rattler under center, and I know he was kind of up and down in his college career, but he was a 5-star for a reason. They're going to miss him, and I think they're going to miss him in this game. Give me LSU. I think Brian Kelly responds after that loss to USC. I'm going with the Tigers.
Not so fast. You must not be knowing of Lenore Sellers, quarterback for South Carolina, Mr. Goggles himself. I expect a big game from him. We saw USC absolutely torch this Bayou Bengals defense. I expect South Carolina Gamecocks to do the same. So give me South Carolina in this one. Next one, we got the SEC Big Ten matchup as Alabama, the Crimson Tide, head to Camp Randall in Madison. Tisha, who you got here?
Bama, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Roll Tide.
Yep. That was about as easy as it could get. Next one, interesting game. Boston College taking on Missouri. Boston College is kind of a surprise team so far this year, beating Florida State that against Florida State. But Tissue, you going with the home team here? Or are you going with the upset with Boston College?
I'm going Mizzou. I'm not sipping on the Boston College Kool-Aid just yet. I mean, I think this game will really showcase if they are really about it or if they're not. But I'm going to stick with Mizzou here. I mean, them guys can spin it down there, and they got a hell of an offense.
Great pick. I absolutely love this Missouri team. Brady Cook, man, he was so good down the stretch last year for Missouri. I love this Missouri team. Give me the Tigers.
Yeah,
I think they cover too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm with you, Tishu. I think people are overhyping this Boston College team beat a shit FSU team. And Missouri has a dog at wide receiver, Luther Burden the third, probably going to be a top 10 pick this NFL draft season. So be on the lookout for him to tear it up against this Boston College defense. That's why I'm going with Missouri here. Moving on to Sunday, the NFL Week 2. We got the Bills versus the Dolphins. Bills had a nice little comeback against the Cardinals. Dolphins kind of took care of business after Tyreek Hill even got arrested. Tisha, who you got?
I mean, I would say Dolphins taking care of business last week is a bit of a stretch. I mean, they won by a lot.
Hey, they won. Dubs.
So did the Bills.
Some second halves from these two teams.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to go with the Dolphins in Miami. I like Tyreek. I like Tua. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons on there. It's just going to be defense, I feel like. But Dolphins.
Yeah. This is a really interesting game to have in week 2. The two favorites in the division after the week they just had that we just kind of talked about. Neither was really impressive. They both got wins. I honestly don't know. So I'm going to go with the Bills because I think Josh Allen's going to be the best player on the field.
Yep. That's
Or
why
the
I'm.
best quarterback, I guess. Tyreek is the best player on the field.
Ooh,
The best quarterback.
come on.
He doesn't have good away from the cop speed.
Guy's got a V8 Sport and he can't out
We lost him. We lost him.
I'm going with the Bills. I just trust Josh Allen to make a big play down the stretch. I think the spread is really telling of this game, but give me the Bills here. Next one, Tissue, we got your Buccaneers facing against the Lions, coming off an impressive win over the Rams on Sunday night. But are you rolling with Baker and the Bucks, or are you going with off of the Lions?
Man, I'll tell you, Tampa looked good against the Commanders. Now, obviously, the Commanders are no powerhouse or anything, so I mean, it's not too much you can tell. But Baker, I mean, he played with some attitude Sunday. I mean, he looked mad. Mike Evans was still got the hands. Godwin was an absolute weapon. I think Tampa's pissed after last year's playoffs. I think we're going to go out there. I think we're going to take care of business. Now, I don't think 7 points is a spread, but we're going to win it.
Yeah, what an interesting start schedule for the Lions, playing their 2 playoff teams. I mean, do they play the 49ers in week 3? I mean, that would be something. But I'm going to go with the Lions here. I do agree, though. I think if I was a betting man, which I'm certainly not, right? But I'm going to go with the Bucks +7 against the spread. But I think the Lions win the game.
Not so fast. Give me Baker and the Bucks. They looked incredibly impressive in that week 1. Obviously, Tissue. You mentioned it was the Commanders, but Baker and the boys were buzzing. Moving on, probably the weirdest matchup of the weekend, but we got to pick it. Steelers-Broncos, disgusting game. Does Russ get the start? Nobody knows. Justin Fields versus Bo Nix as of now. Tissue, who you got?
So if it's Justin Fields, Steelers, I'm taking the Broncos. I like Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix has got some talent going on. I mean, the Steelers' best player right now is their field goal kicker. I mean, that guy was throwing up some numbers for fantasy points. But if Russ starts, then I would change my mind. But I'm gonna stay with Broncos. I'm feeling it.
I mean, just nasty work here. I mean, it's just disgusting to look at this. Did the Broncos score a touchdown? Because I sure as hell know the Steelers didn't. Because they had those. Remember, they had those 2 safeties in the first half. The Broncos did. Just disgusting. I'm just gonna go with the home team. I'm gonna go with the Broncos too. Some about it feels right. It just feels right to go with the Broncos here, but ew.
Yeah, this game's gonna be disgusting, just like your 2 picks. Give me the Steelers because Mike Tomlin is somehow gonna get to 500. And this is a game that's going to go in the W column.
He's gonna go 2-0 without scoring a touchdown. You watch this, bro. They really are on it.
Except he's got to wear the hat.
Yeah,
wear
the hat. Wear the hat, Tomlin. Wear the hat.
That is crazy. But last NFL game we got here: Bengals versus Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 6. Bengals didn't look too hot in that week 1 matchup.
You think?
Tissue, you going with Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs here?
Yeah, absolutely. Enough said.
The Cincinnati Bengals have been completely shunned. They have cost me my survivor pool. I will not be putting any stake on the Cincinnati Bengals. Give me the Chiefs.
Yep, I will never go against the Chiefs again. I went against them last week. Bit me in the ass. Give me the Chiefs. I'm not going against Pat Mahomes. But it's now time for Superdogs. We add a little more this week. So if you win the spread, it's 2 points. If it's a push, it's 1. But if the underdog wins outright, is 3 points. So that is a new update. But Tissue, who you got for your Superdog?
So I got 2. And I'm deciding. I don't know which way I want to go. On one hand, I really like Texas State over Arizona State. I mean, Texas State's had a good season last season. They're kind of building some momentum, beat a decent little UTSA team. On the other hand, I really think Memphis could go down and beat Florida State and make Florida State 0-3. Memphis has got a team.
That would be lit.
Memphis has got some dogs on their team, so I could easily see them going. But I think I'm going to stick with Texas State over Arizona State. I'm a little bit more comfortable. Plus the Sun Belt, I'm a little biased there, so I'm going Texas State over Arizona State.
There you go.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick at all. I am going to go the battle of the gold teams here, Sam. Notre Dame coming off of a big-time loss. They have to go to West Lafayette to face Purdue. And I'm going with the Boilers at home. They're getting 10 points. Quarterback Hudson Card. Remember the name? He was at Texas last year, transferred into Purdue. That offense looks a lot better now. They took care of business in week one. I like this Boilers team. Give me Purdue to cover the 10 against Notre Dame.
I like it. I like it a lot. Not as much as my super dog. Now, this team is currently a top 15 team, the Oregon Ducks. They take on their rival, Oregon State. Oregon State gets 16.5, boys. Oregon has struggled. They struggled week 1 against Idaho. They struggled week 2 against Boise State. Give me the Beavers with 16.5 as my super dog. I need to get a W. I'm 0-2 in super dogs.
Long live the Pac-12.
Long live the Pac-12.
You have my record in super dogs on hand? Or?
Yeah, you're 2-0.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Silly me.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for Pick'em. First guess, Tanner. How do you think he's going to do?
How many points are up for grabs? So, was that 8 games? Was it 8 games?
8 games plus a potential 3 if he gets.
Okay, so 11 total points up for grabs. Tissue, you're getting 7. 7 points.
Nah, tough but fair. I'll wear it.
Tough but fair.
Tough but fair. Well, Tissue, we appreciate you coming on. You should wear the badge of honor as being the first guest picker in Crunch Time Histories. But thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to go make a plaque saying first and only guest until next week.
There you go. All right. Thank you so much, Tissue.
Thanks, guys.
What a pick'em. Awesome job by Cameron Tissue. We'll see how he does. We'll be keeping track of all guest pickers. We're going to be having one on hopefully every week. So stay tuned for that. Just some to spice up pick'em this year. But we do have a question from Tanner's mom, always coming with the questions. She wants to know, the NFL international games kind of started out as a novelty and has expanded to what seems like a weekly occurrence. Do we like this trend? Here, thoughts?
No,
it's awful.
No, it's bad. It's bad. I don't think anyone likes it except for the NFL, who can sell jerseys in London, Brazil, and Germany now. No, I don't like it at all. It just seems like such an obstacle to overcome when you got to travel so far. Football is such a routine-driven sport.
Yeah.
You play on the same day every week. You practice on the same day every week. You have all that stuff, and to throw such a big wrench in it like that is just. I feel like the players have to hate it. Maybe one time they'll go over because they kind of want to see London or wherever.
Yeah.
Maybe one time they'll think it's okay, but with the amount they're doing it now, I think the Jaguars play back-to-back games in London this year. Are you kidding me?
No,
that's insane. I mean, I think that's. I hope I didn't make that up, but it's insane how big it's gotten and how often games are being played on international soil. And I mean, the worst, back to back here. Jaguars Bears on October 13th in London, and then on October 20th in London, Patriots Jaguars. Back-to-back games in London for the Jags. So not only is it logistically a nightmare for the teams and the players probably hate it, but these stadiums are not football stadiums.
They're football.
They're made for 120-pound lightweight, fast people to kick around a round ball.
Yeah.
They're not made for 350-pound linemen to dig their feet in the ground and say, I'm going to hit you as hard as I can. And you're going to dig your feet in the ground. And you say, I'm going to try and stop you from hitting me as hard as you can. It's not made for it.
Yeah.
And like ask Jordan Love how his legs feel after playing in Brazil. Like it just doesn't, I don't like it at all. And I mean, I guess it's in a vacuum, it's a good thing that some people in Brazil and in London, I'm sure there are people there that look forward to them because they can go see NFL games. But man, it is just brutal for the health of the players, for the mental health of the players, having to deal with all the travel and the routine and all that. It just, I don't know. I just don't like it.
I thought it was okay when it was like once a year.
Yeah, once a year.
Because like I remember kind of the first one, I want to say it was either London or Dublin. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But then it just screws up like everything. Like you said, routine. It's just weird. It's I get why the NFL is doing it. But you are a multi-billion-dollar company. Invest in some damn turf. I mean, how many injuries is it going to take to stop these games? Because it seems like every year in the overseas games, we get this problem. And it's frustrating, man.
Yeah. And I tell you right now, there was a Vikings first-round draft pick from 2022, broke his leg in international game. I can't remember where it was. It was against the Saints. I don't know if you remember the game where Saints had like a...
Was that Mexico?
It was somewhere foreign. I don't remember where. We're watching it at your grandma's house, if you remember that.
Yeah.
But the Saints, I think, missed like a 60-yard field goal or something to tie it. But yeah, dude, the Vikings player broke his leg. Obviously, Jordan Love now for the bringing it up again, but injuries, routine, all that stuff, it just doesn't make sense to me, except for the fact that the NFL can make him some more money.
Yeah, that's all it is, man. But yeah, that's kind of our thoughts on the NFL international games. Let us know what you think about the international. Do you like it? Do you rock with it? Or are you kind of on the same page as us? Doesn't really appeal. But that will wrap it up for episode 140 with the N326 duo. We talked about a lot, Tanner.
Good to talk about football again, Sam.
Football is back.
Good to
be happy. We apologize for not having that episode last week. We had my bachelor trip Labor Day weekend. Tanner traveled to Iowa City this past weekend, so we were just exhausted. We apologize. Hopefully, you saw those graphics. We're going to be having more graphics, more videos, so make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe, follow, do whatever you need to get this content at crunchtime_pod on X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. So make sure you do all those. But the clock has run out on this episode, but we'll see you on the next one. I apologize. And shout out to our first guest picker on Pick'em, Cameron Tissue. What time? I mean, it was a blast having him on. Be aware that's going probably become a regular thing. But that officially wraps up this episode. The clock has run out on this episode, but we'll see you on the next one on Crunch Time.
I'll